the meeting. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the BBSim and Scalability Brigade for September 10th, 2020. We have 3 items on the agenda today. The first one is the support for telecom workflow has been merged last week, last Friday, and it's now used by, and that image is now used by default when you deploy master, and it's used in the Sanity Test. If you have submitted patches lately and look at the Jenkins, you'll notice that now we're also verifying that our Target Telecom workflow Sanity Test for every patch that we submit. We also have created a scale job for the Target Telecom workflow. We have 2 versions of it, one with 2 LTs, 256 ONUs on each OLT for a total of 512. And that is fairly stable. If we look at the build history, more than 50% of it pass. When we go instead to a build that is running 512 ONUs on a single OLT, then we got way more, sorry, this is the wrong one. We got way more errors. So I started investigating it and I sent a message on the mailing list to summarize it. So I'm just gonna go through that message to explain what I'm seeing. Basically, there are some flows that will never reach the device, and I wasn't able yet to figure out why that happened. All the examples I made are on this build 71 because the logs in that build were set to info levels, so we have more information in there. So for example, this is one ONU that received the 2 DHCP flows that are expected, because we need one for the voice over IP service and one for the video on demand service. So we can see that they have 2 different VLAN 55 and 444. In some other cases, we only get one flow for that particular device. Now, this device, BBSim 00D1E, corresponds to port 53728. And when we go look in ONUs for that port, we see that ONUs has correctly generated these 2 flows. So everything is fine on the ONUs side. When I go look in the adapter for that same, for anything that is for that port, because that's the only way I know of to correlate the informations. We see a bunch of flow added, but I only see logs that are related to the high-speed internet service flows. So I think I'm missing something here in the way I get the logs from the adapter, because at least we should have 1 DHCP flows in these logs, because we clearly got one in the device.
Also, Theo, I was wondering, did you get any logs in the core? Because if the flow is missing from the adapter, it means that it's never propagated to it, I guess.
Well, the adapter knows about it. Well, at least the quote-unquote physical device knows about it. I haven't checked in the core, but that's actually a good point.
If it shows as added in ONUs, it means that at least at the logical device level, it's present in the core.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But might it happen that it was sent to the adapter? The adapter, I mean, it was sent to the Kafka bus. That makes it acknowledged to ONUS, but the adapter refutes it, and we never know about it in ONUS because we don't have the error handling you're working on.
If it's an added flows, then if there's no acknowledgement from adapters, timeout or a failure, then those flows will be removed from the code.
Oh.
Yeah, and we see that happening because some other. I spent a little time because I was seeing some news receiving 3 DHCP flows, but then looking at the logs, that was exactly the case in which the flow was timing out in the core and the core was removing it and pushing it again.
I see. So it is actually refused by the adapter.
Well, I don't know. It's lost somewhere. I haven't figured out where yet.
So how many ONUs are in this test, Theo?
512 on a single OLT.
512. And when you test less number, like 10 ONUs, do you see the same thing, same problem?
No, with smaller numbers, everything works fine. We also have a test that I was showing before with 256 on 2LT. And this test is not completely stable, but is way better than the one with 250 LTs. And when it fails at the same spot with some devices not even starting the HCP because they didn't receive the flow.
Do you see any etcd error or timeouts in the logs? Did you check?
No, I haven't checked the TCD. Let's see, that was build 71.
Because we are trying to insert more flows than any other workflow.
Yeah.
Maybe etcd quota may be an issue here.
No, it seems fine. Don't see any error.
Can you grab alarm?
Alarm? No, there's nothing.
No. Okay.
Grabbing for E is not. No, but also looking at the levels, there is nothing that is critical. There is a warning, but
What about the OpenOLT adapter logs? Maybe we can check any timeout issue there.
yeah, let me share my entire screen.
Also, do you see anything at the BBSim level? Because maybe the adapter log you didn't get properly or it wasn't shown or something like that, but did BBSim receive the flow?
No, that's where I started.
Okay.
It doesn't receive the flow for DHCP.
Okay.
Or better, receives only one of them. So if I basically started counting in BBSim how many flows for DHCP we got for each ONU. And most of them got 2 of them as expected. Some of them got 3 because one of the flow timed out and was resent. And some of them got only 1. But so the port we were looking.
Just check for timeouts in the OpenIRT log.
Okay. By the way, can you guys see or was it too small?
I am okay with that.
There is
no nothing. Interesting.
Yeah, unless there's something in that file. Yeah. Stop. Yeah, it's really surprising that there is nothing, because some of these flows timed out at this point. For example, when we look at this guy, one that had received 3 flows. So this guy received, just get, if we look for 6, so this guy received this DHCP flow that had the flow ID 2239. Then the same flow was removed basically at the same time. Probably because
why is it removed?
I think it's removed because some of the flows timed out, either in the OLT adapter or in the core or in the OpenONU adapter, and so the core will remove the flow. And then it was pushed again 7 seconds after.
So I couldn't understand. Is there any restarts in the pod level?
No, there are no restarts in the pod. But if so, we get a flow from ONOS, right? And that flow is disaggregated in flows for the OLT and flows for the ONU. If any of those flow fails or timeout, then we remove all the flows. So that is what probably caused this. But that is fine, because then ONOS repushed it and we got it back. So in this case, things are working fine. Is that in some cases, we don't receive this flow, not even one time.
Could it be that we somehow don't clean up properly, and ONOS resends the flows, but the core says, "Oh, I have it already"?
No, but we don't receive it the first time. Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, if it's in ONOS, it means that it is somewhere.
Yeah, it should be somewhere. Let me get the core logs. There are timeouts in the core at least. So I'm gonna look a little more in the flow. It seems in the core, it seems that some flows time it out. So I'll see if I can find something more, and I'll update you.
If it's timeout, those flows should be removed from the core.
Yeah, I'll try to dig a little more and I'll keep you posted. I'll make myself a note.
Did you able to solve the last week's problem, the packet out GAN port problem?
Oh yeah, that actually Girisha helped me find the reason for that. And basically, BBSim was not setting the correct pbit on the DHCP packets.
Okay.
And so the OpenOLT adapter used the pbit in combination with the VLAN to create a map to find the gem port, but we weren't creating the right map because BBSim was sending the packet with pbit 0, so we were using 0 to generate a key, but then ONOS was sending the packet back with the correct pbit, and so we could then match it to the gem port.
Okay, I see.
Now BBSim is setting the correct pbits, and those errors are gone.
So you just patched the BBSim then?
Yeah, that's correct. There is a patch that got merged, I think Friday or Monday, can't remember. But it was a fairly simple patch, and it's just adding the pbit information to the packet, because it was
okay. That's great.
Hmm?
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
I can show you the patch because for some
Yeah.
Yes. But if you want to look at it, it's in Gerrit.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any other question or comment on the scale job? If not, we can move on to the last point on the agenda.
So how do you provision the subscribers using the ONOS CLI? And right now, I think you are only. Do you plan to provision all 4 services?
Yeah, we are provisioning all 4 services, but that happens under the hood. I mean, when you do VLT add subscriber access, all 4 services get provisioned. Do you even have an option to only provision some of the service?
I think yes, but in I'm not sure actually. I think Gamze is able to provision subscribers one by one, provision services one by one. But I don't know how she is doing it.
Oh, that's interesting.
I can ask her.
No, I don't have ONOS running.
Yeah, because the one way to see if there is conflicts or is it specific for the DHCP service, the DHCP rule you're missing would be provision services at different times and see if that helps.
Yeah, that will require some changes in the pipeline. Because now the pipeline doesn't really know anything about services. All that the pipeline is doing is listing all the uniports and then just sending a REST call to ONOS to provision the subscriber using the VLT at the subscriber access endpoint. So that would be a pretty big change. It's something we could try manually to see if that helps. But integrating it in the pipeline will take a little time. That's a good point. Let me take a note. So I'm just guessing this will probably help, because the moment we provision one service at a time, it means we'll have way less pressure on the system, because the amount of flows we'll be creating will be basically a fourth of it. So most likely that will help.
I mean, that's the same thing as bringing up less number of ONUs or batching ONUs.
Yeah.
menus coming up, right?
Yeah. It will have the same kind of effect.
By the way, Theo, in telecom workflow, there are actually 5 services, not 4. I mean, there are 4 services, but the VOID service has 2 jump ports, so it's like 5 services, but one is hidden in the other. So there is also a management service in telecom flow.
I'm not sure I got that.
So in telecom flow, there are actually, yes, 4 services. But when you configure the services as you're doing in BBSim, you have 4 different services: management, VoIP, HSI, and IPTV. But IPTV is, I mean, have a downstream jump port only, and its upstream is on the VODS jump port. So in BBSim way of definition, you should, I think, define 5 services. Okay. You're now defining HSI, VoIP,
Yeah.
say VOD and multicast, but VOD and multicast are combined as IPTV. So there should be another service, which is management service. Okay.
Okay, and which tagging does that follow?
Not important, but different than all of the others. I mean, you can put anyone. I don't remember the actual tagging, but we can put another tagging tag to here. It's like VoIP or say VoID.
But will this need DHCP?
Yeah, it requires DHCP, and it's the one-to-one service. Just same like the VoIP service, but the different tag now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll add this one. So this will result in even more flows.
Yes. I mean, if you succeed with your definition and your configuration, then we can add the other service.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll keep looking in the 512 case and see if I can figure out what's happening. I may ping either Kent or Girish, depending on what I find. The last point we had on the agenda was support for IGMP. So, of course, changing the way we define services in BBSim, IGMP was broken. I went to fix it, and I'm not entirely sure it actually ever worked by what I found. So I created a patch that is bringing it back to life. We are now at the point that, based on the service configuration that we have, whenever you ask BBSim to send IGMP packets, it will send packets for each service that requires IGMP, and will properly tag the packet and send it up to ONOS. We receive the flows back to ONOS, and when we receive the keep alive packet, we now respond to that packet. There is an issue with the flow that I'm receiving back from ONOS. I'm investigating that with the help of Andrea and Pierre. Most likely, I was missing a piece of the configuration, the multicast configuration in ONOS. So I'm gonna try to wrap that up today before the code freeze, and hopefully I'll also make a patch for kind Volta to push that configuration, because I don't think that's that's supported as of now, and I don't think that's actually even documented anywhere. So we'll need to do that before pushing out the release.
So do you know how this IGMP thing in BBSim works? It basically probably sends IGMP join messages, and then do you expect to get a packet in the BBSim code?
Yeah, that's correct. That's actually what is happening. BBSim sends out. I mean, depending on the command that you create. I don't know why I cannot load anything. But yeah, BBSim send an IGMP report packet to ONOS. When ONOS receives that, it creates the group and the flows and push the flows down to the device. And then depending on your configuration, it has a keep alive time that is specified here. In my case, it set it on 30 seconds because I just wanted to verify the packet coming and going back. And anytime BBSim receives one of these packets that is basically a membership group query, it just replies, yes, I'm in that group. So as of now, well, I can show you the code here. Basically, when BBSim send a membership report, the group address is for now hard-coded. So BBSim will only be able to join and leave the same group. But in the future, we'll need to make this configurable, so different ONUs will be able to join different groups, and we will be able to do some fancier things. But I think for this 2.5 release, we'll just live with the hard-coded group, and all the ONUs will be able to only join and leave that particular group.
So how do you make the BNG sends a response back or sends a packet, the IGMP query message?
That is actually ONOS that is sending it.
ONOS, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it, okay.
So I'm not very expert in IGMP and multicast. So I'm gonna talk later today with Pierre. But I don't think we will need a multicast server in BBSim because at the end of the day, we don't really need to test the data plane. We only need to check the control plane packets are going as expected. Does that make sense, Saurabh?
Yeah, that's right. We really just need to check that depending on the IGMP packet that BBSim generates, you get the right group membership and flow coming from ONOS.
Yeah. Okay, so today I'm going to give priority to complete this IGMP work and make sure that it works, because today is the last day before code freeze. So ideally, we would like to push out a BBSim 1.0.0 together with this release. And this is the only thing that I know of that is missing. And I'll also try to keep digging in the scale test, but the priority will be to push out the stable version of BBSim. So this is all I had today. If there isn't any other question or comment, I think we can get half an hour back. Okay, I think that was a no comment. Thanks everyone for joining, and talk to you either on Slack or over email.
Thanks, Theo.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.